say what it was? You've got part of it back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 5 o'clock. I'll call this work session of Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members are present. We'll move right into, everybody should have a work session agenda in your packet. Move straight into the first item, council president discussion. So as we decided last year when we all started this term, we would revisit the council president situation, first meeting in November, since this is our anniversary date. So as I've discussed openly with a few of you, I certainly am willing to continue to serve if that's what everybody is okay with. So Scotty.
Yes, sir. That's my wishes.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Okay.
30.
All right. All right. Well, thank you all for the vote of confidence there. So we'll move on.
That's
So
easy.
capital projects overview.
Thank you, Mr. President. Give you a quick rundown of the capital projects we're doing without having the list in front of me, so no particular order. But the pavement project that we just recently bid, the pavement project phase 2 is what we're calling it. That project is, we're waiting on contract documents to come back from the contractor. So that's bid bonds, make sure all that stuff is in place, and we'll issue a notice to proceed. We're pushing hard to get that started by the end of this month for November. It could be right after Thanksgiving, but we're on schedule as soon as we have those contract documents in place that will run right into construction. Also had discussion with the consultant about go ahead and getting the next batch of roads ready for that. So if y'all are ready to do that, what we'll do is when we finish up this construction, we'll be able to roll right into the next round of roads, and we're trying to get ahead of that schedule. So that's the road paving project. We've got bids that will come in tomorrow for the sidewalk projects that we talked about down along College and those neighboring roads in that general area around downtown. So we'll wait to see what those bids come in at. The parking lot project that we're working on, there's about 7 or 8 different pieces, and we're trying to make them all do like this by the end of the month. And I am still very optimistic we'll have that complete by the end of November. We're doing electrical conduits for all the underground, for the 2 large poles that'll be lighting for the parking lot, as well as the ornamental lights around the sidewalk. We have 2 water line stub outs, 2 sewer stub outs, and a water line for that the water department's putting an 8-inch water line along Lee Street. So all those utilities will be in hopefully by the end of this week. We'll be ready to go to sidewalks next week if the contractor can get in there, and if we can do that, we'll be paving in 2 weeks and stripe it and have it done by the end of the month. So a lot coming together quickly on that project.
You had some good weather.
Yeah, we have. We've had some good weather, and the Public Works Department's done a great job of getting that base prepared and getting everything done in house. So that's been a plus for the project. We're close to a 30% submittal package back from the consultant for the rec center and for City Hall renovations. Had discussions with them earlier today about a floor plan to go ahead and price and schedule that. So the reminder for that, the 30% submittals back from the architect would be a floor plan, a schedule, and a cost for those projects. I'll go ahead and caution you that if you bid anything, metal buildings, anything construction-wise right now, is crazy. I don't know a better way to put it. So I am cautiously optimistic about the projects that we're doing, just to bring you data about here's the projects. If we were to bid it in today's market, here's what we would expect the prices to be. Leaning very hard on our architect on those 2 projects. We have another consultant working with the PV Park project that I'll talk about in a minute. But we will look at those and basically design those so that we can bid base bid and alternate. So when we bring a bid package to you, we can either do a part or all or postpone and rebid later. We'll see what options we have. But at the 30% submittal, we should have a good feel for this is what it would be, this is what it would look like, and here's a cost and a schedule if you decide you want to move forward with those projects.
When did you say you expect that?
So in the next 2 weeks, I'll have City Hall to appoint. So next council meeting, I'll probably have a direction for you on City Hall cost and layout for City Hall. We're still working on the rec center project now. So the rec center, submit on 30%. I would like to have it done by the end of November. So moving in December, we'd have a cost and schedule for both of those projects. We have a consultant that's working on the PV Park project, which is the 7 soccer fields that we've got that we're looking at. Part of it's on PV Park, part of it's on the college. So we're in that layout, getting deeds and environmental work done on that project. I don't have a timeline on that one yet, but I'll have you one shortly on that. The next week's project update, I'll give you a detailed schedule on all these projects. We're at a point now where I'll be able to give those to you, some hard dates. I'm trying to think what other projects we had that I wanted to highlight. I'm missing one.
You said you were going to give us something on soccer.
The soccer, so we are looking at a grading plan for both of those projects, and we're approaching that to see if, depending on the quantities, whether we can do that in-house or not. But the preference would be if we could do that with the forces we've got, definitely would save the city money for doing the grading work, because most of those soccer fields are grading, grass, irrigation. The lighting we would outsource because we would probably get a lighting system to do that. And then the concession stands, we have to bid out the concession stands that goes with that, the small buildings and restrooms. But there's a very good high probability we can do a lot of that in-house. So that's the way we'd approach this. And if the quantities get so much that we think that we can't do that with the forces we have or the equipment that we have, we'd look at, does it make sense to rent a special piece of equipment, or does it make sense to just bid that project out? So I'll look at all those resources and I'll come with you with some suggestions to what to do. Right now, all the projects seem to be on schedule and moving very fast. Of course, the big push right now is to get the parking lot ready for end of the month. We're doing everything we can to get that thing ready for us. So.
Did we complete everything we were wanting to do with that pool study and?
Yes, ma'am. So we did. Yeah, I'll touch on that one. So the indoor pool you're talking about, Ms. Sonia. So the indoor pool study we did as a consultant, we went and looked at the pool that we've got, and we did an analysis of the structure, the filters, the pumps, the pipes, all the stuff that would be to put the pool structure in place. We kicked that back with questions to the college about the building itself, the envelope. They've come back with some numbers back to us saying they think that they need to upgrade some of the mechanical, electrical for the building, and they've kicked some numbers around with their consultant. We do need to have further discussion about if that's part of the project cost, who pays that other portion, how does that teaming arrangement work? So we need to have some further discussion about that. But they did throw a number at us for what it's going to take beyond the number I've already presented to you, that $1.5 million number for the indoor pool. So total project cost will be more than $1.5 million. Question is, how much is the city responsible for? How much would be the college responsibility?
But it sounds like in the coming month, 6 weeks, we're going to have a lot of information to be able to look at that project with this rec center project, soccer, all that. We should have kind of a more global picture of how all that's lining up with the pot of money that we've got.
My goal will be the first meeting in December to have all that data to you. We're right there pulling it all together. I just want to make sure that when I present it as this is accurate, I just want to make sure it's correct.
Right. Okay. All right. Eugene, you got any questions?
No, thank you, Barry.
Yes, sir.
Greg?
No, thank you, Mayor.
I got one more. I'm sorry. I remember the one I was talking about. 27, we talked about some of the manhole lids that were lower than the grade. So we did have some discussion with AlDOT. They were out there currently fixing the storm inlet tops, if you've been out there to see those. So they are fixing those now. Our desire is to get that fixed by the end of the month. So we'd have the manholes raised back up and the storm inlets done. I think worst case scenario by the end of the calendar year. Understand that it was an AlDOT project. That was not a city project. But we're trying to do that for the citizens and get that road, so when you drive down there, those manhole lids that are in your wheel path, you get that boom feeling. Right. We're trying to get those up and get those smooth. So 60 days from now, end of the calendar year, we should have that corrected. That's the latest discussions we've had with AlDOT and their contractor.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did Jonathan or Glenn have anything to add on capital projects? All right.
As you know, know, we bid the water and sewer utility relocation. The contract documents were returned to us from the contractor yesterday. We're going through those, so we'll be able to evaluate that this week. The issue with that particular deal is gonna be material delivery. The contractor's already said it could be 12 weeks before he could get material to start. So in that case, he's talking about end of January, February, possibly start. So we're evaluating that. We'll continue to, but that's kind of where that project's at on 167.
All right, thank you. All right, we will move to council agenda overview. If y'all want to turn to your council meeting packets. So as always, stop me if I move past something that y'all wanted to discuss in more detail. You should have gotten a detailed list of the consent agenda items in your packet. Any questions on consent agenda issues? Lots of disposal of property here. All right, we'll go to street closure request. Jonathan, were we going to discuss that in regular meeting, or Chief Moore?
So they've requested the road to be closed from Connor to Main Street on Lee, right by the Rawls warehouse. This is to put trusses up and stuff. We discussed it. Our concern obviously is the safety of everybody. With a big, large crane, it'd be a lot easier for me to close the whole road and control the whole traffic. That way, in case something bad happens, we at least got everybody out of the way. Businesses around there are closed. Corpse and Cattle is closed on Monday. That's why they chose it. And then I've already talked to the rescue, and they know to reroute in case of emergency because they use that mainly for their thoroughfare. I've already talked to them. They're 100% agreed that it is safer and better to close it, so they'll just reroute for that time period, and it's better for everybody. So that's about it to that one.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
It's a blessing to see some work getting done on the old Rawls building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so doesn't sound like there's any issues there. Then we'll move into privilege of floor, which looks like we've got a crowd here tonight. So if this is the first time you've been to an Enterprise City Council meeting, this is our work session. This is where we get together to discuss these things in detail. There will be a section of the meeting called privilege of the floor, where if any of you are here tonight to address the council about a specific issue, then I'll ask who's here. That'll be your time to come forward. You'll have 3 minutes to discuss that with council. Typically not a lot of dialogue in that. There shouldn't be dialogue period. You'll just have your time to state your case. If there's any responses from staff or from the council, we'll also have our allotted time to address that. So stick around for that. All right, then we'll move into staff reports and old business. These are issues that were introduced at previous council meetings. Our honeybee zoning ordinance. We're good. Stacy, so you might have any questions about the honeybee issues? I know that's been a long, drawn out process. So glad to finally be moving forward on that. And thank you for your patience and for the time you put into it, Mr. Woodall.
Got on this honeybee
Yeah.
shirt tonight.
Yes, sir. So then we have a public hearing for the Galen Co. Rezone, which was introduced at a prior council meeting. We're in good shape there, Stacy. Any questions on the rezone? Public hearing on an ABC license for M&Y LLC. Then we'll move into new business. So we'll introduce a couple of rezone ordinances that will not be addressed tonight. Then we will amend the job classification salary schedule. Who wants to come give us an update on that? This is something that we hadn't talked a lot about.
There should be a request for 4 positions to be added to our job classification plan. One is a mechanics trainee, one is a senior building inspector, One is a accounting clerk, and then
Athletic coordinator.
the other is a athletic coordinator. All of these were approved in this fiscal year's budget.
So they were budgeted, but the actual positions have got to be created.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions in general? Okay. All right. Thank you, Christine. All right. Then we will move to authorizing the mayor to execute agreement with First Baptist Church. Obviously, it's something we've been discussing for the public's benefit. We've been discussing this in executive session because it involved a real estate negotiation. So just for everybody's benefit, we are, this is an agreement with First Baptist Church. It's very similar to the lot behind Yancey Parker's to both beautify and improve the space on, what are the streets? Adams, right? The corner of Adams and Main Street. So, so that's any questions? Everybody should have had an opportunity to review that. Jonathan, did you want to update us on anything on this First Baptist Church?
So we were approached, city was, by First Baptist Church. I think they have a committee, which I'm going to butcher, but maybe you can help me out on what the committee's called.
The trustees.
Trustees.
Yeah.
So the board of trustees, or the First Baptist Church trustees approached the mayor and my office about some issues they were having with potential acquisition of a piece of property, and essentially proposed that they were having some issues with phase 2 environmental concerns with that piece of property, and wanted to try to fix up that piece of property that's adjacent across the street from the church on
It's Adams, isn't it?
on Adams Street, kind of close to Annie's. It's a vacant lot, and essentially what they said is that we can't get a phase 2 on it and before we purchase the property. And so there was a contingent liability on that property. We checked with several consultant engineers about, what the probability that there could be a contaminant on that piece of property or not. The risk was deemed to be very low. In addition to that, there were some subsequent conversations that we've had regarding, what would the city's responsibility be if there was a known contaminant contaminating the water supply or something to that. Would we have an obligation to fix that up? And I think, based on the conversations we've had between the council and mayor, that the city would have some kind of responsibility to make sure that we had safe drinking water and we didn't have contaminants polluting it. So they've requested some assurance from the city that if there was something found in the future, that we would take care of the cleanup. That would be their proposal on that. In addition, what they refer to as a Connor property across the street, which is currently their property, but it's an unimproved lot essentially that people park on from time to time next to Dunaway Studios. But it's not very clean looking. It's kept up. I mean, but it's an old building's slab that's basically there. And so what they proposed is, they would clean that up. We would guarantee that liability, and then subsequently improve the parking area. They would make that public parking, so that anybody could park on it. Even though public parks on it from time to time now, it's not always with the church's permission. And so we've done some preliminary cost estimates on there. We think that the city could afford that anywhere from, on the very low end, $15,000, depending on the surface that we put down, to $60,000 or so. Most of the sidewalks around it are good. And so basically, city would get a public parking lot, get a space cleaned up downtown that kind of goes along with our downtown redevelopment plan in our Main Street district, for assuring that contingent liability. And we do a lease similar to what we did on the property behind the Yancey Parker building, which would be $1 a year or so, and the church would be responsible to prorate that pavement pack. So in other words, if they did something or said, hey, we need that parking lot for whatever reason, if we spent, $15,000 on it, they'd pay us back in year one, $14,000, year two, 13, and so on, until we got to 15 years, which is typically the life cycle of a parking lot. So.
And then we're going to improve the alleyway, which we need to do anyway.
That's right. The other thing they requested is there's some alleyways that go behind some of the buildings downtown. In this case, they're concerned about the one that abuts that property. There's some erosion control issues, and also it's our alleyway. We have sewer, water, and other utilities that run along it. They're all in really bad shape. And I think over time, over the next few years with our paving process, we're looking at how to clean those up. So this would be the first step in that.
Any questions about this? Like I said, I know we've discussed this several times in executive session, but this is the first time we talked about it in public. So anything y'all think you need to know or the public needs to know? All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
John. Okay, so consider holiday schedule. So this would call for a motion to approve the holiday schedule. For Christmas, we would celebrate Christmas Eve on December 23rd, Christmas Day on December 24th, and New Year's Day on Friday, December 31st. Any concerns with that? Okay. Then request to close city offices is something we do every year. We close city offices from 11 to 1 for the annual Christmas luncheon, get together out at the Civic Center. Any concerns with that? To my knowledge, we've never had any problems with that. Then we'll move in. Well, we do need to add the council president. We'll add that as the last item in new business if everybody's okay with that. And then we'll go into mayor's report and council members' comments. Anything that any of you see that's missing from the agenda? All right. Well, then if so, then what I'll do is I'll entertain a motion to amend the submitted agenda to add that one item.
So move.
Well, I'll do that in the regular meeting.
Oh, excuse me.
You can move it.
I'll move it then.
So back to our work session agenda. So the next item on here is we've got a request from Mr. Tullos and Ms. Hayes and Mr. Cotter to go into executive session regarding security issues. Is that correct? Security and IT issues, or IT security issues, I guess. Anything? Are we going to discuss anything else? Some legal, so IT security issues and legal matters. So I will entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding IT security and legal matters.
So moved.
There you go. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We expect this will take about 25 minutes or so, 30 minutes, and more than likely we'll not discuss anything else in work session. We will, if there's time, we'll have a brief recess, but our regular meeting will be at 6 o'clock. That's it's perfect time to do it. I mean, I think, all of us should review that time as our little code book that, reduces cost. I guess you can read for an extra. No, it's your time to do what you want to do with it. No, I think that's very, I think that's very appropriate.
I couldn't get off the phone with him. He had to run down. He ran down everything about Coppinville and my whole family and that who he knew, and I just couldn't get him out. I thought I was ending it when I said, "Yeah, I remember Mr. McDonald," but that didn't end it. I got so tickled. I want to tell you. I don't know who was thinking the same thing I was. If Marge and Monkey didn't get on my nerves about that microphone and that different sound, I kept looking at you. You could really have. I looked over there and said, "She's gone." She does. She looking very. I want to say Marge. I want to say. Was he real?
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful.
See how he got it. I caught on. He saw me.
You don't have to sign it yet. I'm just getting them now.
Just go like that.
Me and Laurie, I know I've been knowing Laurie. I called Laurie. I said, "Hey, can I put your next to me?" What he told me to put me down. She said the same. I said, "No, no." She told me the same. Oh. You ain't gotta say it like that, but
You got them.
I would have really been happy with it. I said, Laurie, don't you get on there like that. Mama said, "How did it go?" I said, "It went good." After Mark running around chasing cars, they were all running.
Got 1 minute. Did you look at that? The rolls. They're doing a complete facade makeup. It's surprising not just tearing the building down after looking at that. I'm sure that's less expensive to do it that way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we could get the room in order. I've got 6 o'clock, so I will call this meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all council members are present. If you could stand for me for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. We've got Pastor Brian. I hope I say this right. Semino.
Yes, sir. Very well.
I got lucky.
It's perfect. Sure. Please join me in prayer. Father in heaven, Lord, today I just thank you for who you are and for the multiple ways you take care of us, Lord. We are grateful for your grace and your mercy and compassion. Thank you, Lord, for our fair city here, city of Enterprise, Lord, city of progress. Lord, we pray for those that stand before us, seated before us. We pray, God, that you would bless them as they manage our fair city here. That enhancement would continue. And we're just going to thank you in advance for the ways that you're going to allow this to happen. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. All right, Council, we discussed the agenda in the prior work session, so I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the council president election as the last item in new business.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the city council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the city council. I will now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Beverly, please note for the record that I'm abstaining because of a conflict with the accounts payable B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, I now introduce and call for consideration of a request on behalf of Billy Cotter Construction to close West Lee Street from Connor Street to North Main Street on Monday, November 15th from 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. with an alternate date of Monday, November 22nd. Council, we discussed this in the work session prior. Chief Moore is on board with this, figures this is the safest way to proceed, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the request.
Make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now we move to the privilege of the floor. This is the time in the meeting that's dedicated to allow any member of the public present to address the council about any matters they wish. Looks like we've got a good crowd here tonight. I assume some of you want to address us. You're allowed 3 minutes, so keep in mind that this is a monologue. It's not a time for dialogue. There's not going to be a discussion, so please be respectful of the member of the public that's addressing the council at that time. If any of the council members or staff wish to address anything that's been said, they will be given time later in the meeting to do that. So just hang around. If they wish to address that, they will. That being said, I do know, or I've got a suspicion that some of you are here to address the council about short-term rentals, of which we discussed in the last council work session, and many members of the public came forward to address this in privilege of the floor concerning that matter. Just give you all an update on that before you come forward. So staff is working on getting us information about what our options are, what a potential ordinance may look at, what other communities are doing. We will be reviewing that in the coming weeks. At the soonest, we would have a deliberation on that topic at the next work session, which would be the which would be 2 weeks from today, which would be November 16th, I believe, at 5 o'clock. So there's a chance we will be deliberating, or at least beginning to discuss what direction each of us wants to go. Then we would probably have to, the staff would go back to the drawing board based on those discussions, bring us back a first draft after those discussions at first meeting in December. We could potentially come to consensus at that meeting. At that point, it would then be kicked down to the Planning Commission as a proposal. The soonest that they could probably address it then would be January. Isn't that right, Stacy? Probably January, because of what has to happen to get things on their agenda. Then notice has to be given. So if that happens, which a lot of things will have to fall in place for that even to happen, the soonest this council would address a final ordinance would be March. So that's probably a fairly aggressive timeline. It potentially we could deliberate it for the next several meetings, and so each meeting that we discuss it at and don't come to some agreement on, or at least some sort of we got to have 3 of us. So if 3 people can't agree on something, then it will not move forward. So that's just a brief overview of where we're at on that. So that being said, anybody who's here to address the council on something other than short-term rentals, is there anybody here to discuss something other than that? I see one. So you want to come forward? Please speak clearly into the microphone. Tell us who you are, and so that both the media, the public, and people listening online can understand.
Hello, my name is Dion Patton. I'm a local photographer in Enterprise. My main concern is in 1974, our Bowie was stolen May 2nd, 1974. And in the month of May, this body enacted several city ordinances in regards to its upkeep, maintenance, and preservation. 18-9, 18-10, 18-11. Originally, we were not allowed to put any decorations on our monument whatsoever because she was so brittle. However, a deception was made in 1976 for our bicentennial. That original ordinance was changed in 1982 for our bicentennial of our city. A Bowieville Commission was established so that any decorations the law was changed again in 85 to 2 of the rules, and I don't remember which 2, or it may have only been one of them. The other 2 have been changed in 1989 to the laws that are on the books today. There was supposed to be a permanent Bowieville Commission so that any decorations, additions, or maintenance be gone through the Bowieville Commission, then through his office. I understand that coming December, the Downtown Business Associations are planning on putting Whoville decorations around our monument. We have laws against that crap. Look, I have no problems decorating. Christmas time, she needs to be decorated. The Whoville characters need to stay off of it. We have laws against putting stuff on her rails. There were exceptions made. I agree with that. 4th of July, I have no problem with it. I don't. Christmas, I have no problem with it. Breast cancer awareness, keep the ribbons off. 11 times in our history, in my lifetime, we've had to replace either her fountains or her rings because of damage done to her pumps or her rings from trash getting in it. Those ribbons you tie on it, I love how Sue decorates it. I do. Sue Mitchell does a fantastic job. However, let's decorate our light poles down through Main Street instead of our monument. Keep our stuff off of our monument. That's all I got to say. Look, here's the bad thing about it. I want to show you 2 photographs I personally took. Look at the spider webs on the fountain, on her lights. That's her, excuse me, that's her lights. That's her lights. Go to the next photograph. Look at the web on her arm. Here's the bad thing about that. I specifically called the tourism director and asked her to have it cleaned. I was going to photograph it that Friday morning or that Saturday morning. I called her on that Wednesday. It's one thing to photograph her with that. It's a different thing to photograph her with that. Is that the image we want to project to the world? That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Or is anybody else here to address the council about something other than short-term rentals? All right, seeing none, we'll move to short-term rental. I assume there's somebody here to address us about that. Yes, sir. Yeah. Come speak into the microphone so people are watching online. They can't hear you.
Charles Miller, back new to the community, former military guy, been gone for 10 years. We have one facility in town that we just finished. Given the stance that we have within the city on short-term rentals, I asked that our tax assessment, because we don't have business licenses, we've asked city, county, what do we do? How is it paid? And we're having a little bit of trouble. What we don't want is any legal ramifications between now and said time when the council makes the decision on what we do. How are we to handle that tax? Are we not to collect? Are we to collect? Who do we pay? How is it paid? Through some of the tools that we use, it's collected both state, county, and city, and then that package is paid forward. But right now we're having difficulty in just city and county. I know we're not county here, but we've actually gone over because we're brand new going, hey, we're here. And they're like, oh, there's no license needed, And I'm like, so we're just asking in the interim on the tax aspect of it that one, it gets documented that how do you want us to do this? Do we not have to in the interim until a decision is made on how it's to be done? Or who do we hand the check over to, sir?
So
I know it's not a dialogue, question and answer piece, but we kind of need to kind of have an understanding that there's no tool there in place for us to use to apply that tax that's supposed to be, whether it be the 6 or the 4%, both city and county, respectfully.
So, during staff reports, I'll see if we can get some clarity on that.
Okay, sir. Do we expect something on the November 16th, or should we wait until the January, February timeframe that you spoke earlier?
I'll see if we can get some answers tonight, as far as at least where you can get clarity on that.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, council members, good afternoon. My name is Larry Peterson. I've been a resident of Enterprise for over 20 years now. Just to indulge me, how many people here by show of hands lives next to a short-term rental? 5 of us. The one that's being rented short-term next to my property, I've seen no less than 10 vehicles in the last 5 days. And it's in its infancy. I bought a house in a residential neighborhood because people choose to reside there. If I wanted to buy a house next to a hotel, I would have done that. But in a residential neighborhood, my largest single investment is my home. And it's kind of under attack right now by somebody who just wants to rent it to anybody on a nightly basis. And I'm all for Americans being able to do what they want to with their property, but within the confines of the codes, even our covenants and deed restrictions spelled out for my community, which is Summerbrook, list commercial activities as being prohibited, but yet it's occurring. I don't know that the progress in this typical business is what I wish to be next to. Even though we call ourselves a city of progress, I pride myself on that. But I don't think it's the way that I want the sanctity of my home and where I chose to raise my family at being violated for commercial purposes. If I wanted to have farm animals, I could not, because I'm breaking a law, a rule, a covenant, a deed restriction. Even if I wanted to have a certain dog breed, that would be prohibited. But yet somebody can run a hotel next to my house now. I've already seen my property value go down because of something else this neighbor did. My house is appraised at almost $30,000 less than what it did 10 years ago when I bought it, when everybody else's housing values are going up. Mine went down. And now to add to this short-term rental is going to complicate things even more for me. Now, if I lived out in the county and there weren't these deed restrictions or covenants, or even a city ordinance that you're in the stages of drafting, I would totally take part in it and accept it, and let's come up with a solution. But right now, I'm kind of looking at, I'm going to have to relocate, because this isn't where I want to raise my family, next to one of these enterprises. It doesn't fit the family model. And anybody can rent this thing. The house next to me advertises 16 people can stay in this thing. There isn't enough. I mean, I get it that there's a hotel that maybe you can't rent one room and get 16 people in there. Okay? But that is just not fair. That doesn't even pass the common sense test, that somebody can advertise this and park along the street if you have to, if you have 16 people in there. This thing's being rented to businesses where the people go unchecked. I don't know who's next to me now. I don't know my neighbors anymore because of this business model. So I subscribe to you, please take into consideration someone who is not on the money side or the profit side or the tax side of this ideology. I just bought a house in a residential neighborhood. That's all I did. And now my sanctity is being compromised where I raised my family. That's it. Any questions?
Tell me your name again, sir.
Larry Peterson, 103 Porter's Way, Summerbrook. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Peterson.
Thank you.
Is anybody else here to address the council?
Can I comment on this subject?
No.
Can I come back and comment on this specific subject?
Sure.
Okay. Again, my name is Dion Patton. We talk about short-term rentals. This city has had a history since 1943 of having short-term rentals, TDY units. Every historical home in this city has apartments in them, bar none. Every one of them. The problem people have is the misconception of Airbnb. We have what's called short-term rentals. Airbnb is just a vehicle that we use. Should there be a city business license? Absolutely. Should we be charged a city lodging tax? Absolutely. Should it be collected? Should county taxes be collected? Absolutely. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else address the council? All right, seeing no one, we will move along to staff reports. Do we have any additional staff reports that we didn't receive in the work session?
I don't have a staff report. I just have a little bit of an announcement. I just wanted to remind everybody in the room tonight and everybody watching that this Saturday, if y'all are looking for something to do, remember a few weeks ago y'all approved for the EAA Chapter 351 to hold their Young Eagles rally. And that is this Saturday at the airport for children ages 8 to 17. And it's a great opportunity if you have young children that are wanting to learn about aviation, and also to come out and see our new facility at the airport. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that.
What were those times again?
It is ages 8 to 17. Registration starts at 8:30 and registration ends at 11:30. And that's at the airport, 863 Aviation Boulevard.
All right, thank you, Stacy. So that's the Young Eagles Rally, ages 8 to 17, 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 this Saturday. or that's when registration is, 8:30 to 11:30. All right, any other staff reports? Ms. Leanne?
Okay, so let me just briefly address some of the short-term rental issues. There are several lodging taxes which apply to short-term rentals, which would be 179 days or less for time frame of rental. A person who does a short-term rental is subject to a state, county, and city tax. There are some organizations, Airbnb as an example, that has an agreement with the state where they will withhold and submit the lodging tax for the state. However, they are currently not doing that for the city and the county portion. And for us, the city, there is a 6% lodging tax, and for the county, there is a 4%. Those taxes are current and already on the books and already in the regulations. The ordinance, as you discussed tonight, that we are going to be continuing to discuss, the council and the zoning commission and everything, does not affect that tax. Those taxes are already, anyone who is doing a short-term rental is already currently subject to those taxes and should be withholding and should be submitting them to the county and to the city. For any organization that's not already doing it. Like I said, like the Airbnb, yes, they're withholding, but that's only for the state. So it's on the owner, the person who is doing the rental, to withhold the additional taxes and submit them on their own. There is a process here in the city for us to be able to do that. They would have to get a business license and come to our revenue office and get an account set up so that they can remit those taxes to the city. So if there's anybody that needs that information or would like to, have a more specific conversation about their particular property or their business license or their tax process, they can talk to me after the meeting. I can give them a business card, and I would be happy to talk to them and follow up with them and make sure that they've got the information that they need in order to be able to do that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I suspected that to be the case. So if anybody's got any questions, everybody's situation is going to be a little different. Everybody has any questions about what to do right now, please see Leanne. She's be more than happy to help you. She's our CFO and treasurer, so she can at least get you pointed in the right direction. So any other staff reports? All right. Thank you. And please, everybody understands, I understand everybody wants dialogue. All of us, our contact information's on city website. We're easy to find. And there will be a hearing. There will be a public hearing once we have an ordinance to consider. So just thank you for your patience. But obviously we do have a meeting to conduct tonight, so that's why we have to stay orderly and move things along. So of course, I think any of us would be happy to speak with somebody after the meeting if you have any questions on that. So moving on to old business. All right, I will now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of Ordinance 10-521, providing to amend the City of Enterprise zoning ordinances to allow for the keeping of certain honeybees in certain zoning districts in the city. I will now open this hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against this ordinance? All right, seeing none, I will now close the hearing, and I will entertain a motion to adopt Ordinance 10-521.
I make a motion that we adopt Ordinance 10-05-21.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of Ordinance 10-521A, providing for the rezone of lots 1, 2, and 3 of Legacy Farms Business Park from B3, which is Highway Commercial District, to R65 Residential District owned by Galen Co. Incorporated. This hearing is now open. Is there anyone here to speak for or against this rezone? Seeing no one, I will now close the hearing and entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 10-521A.
I move that we adopt ordinance 10-521A.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of a request from M&Y LLC doing business as Mikata Japanese Steakhouse and Sushi Bar for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 1109 Bowleville Circle, Suite 5. This hearing is now open. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Seeing no one, I will now close the hearing and entertain a motion to adopt this ABC license request.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to new business, I will now introduce for the record a recommendation from the Enterprise Planning Commission to approve the following request for the rezone property. A request by James Snyder for the rezone of 1.143 acres of land from R85 Residential District to B3 Highway Commercial District located at 102 Coppinville Road. All right, there will be no action on that tonight. We're just introducing it. I will now introduce ordinance 110221, providing for the rezone of 1.143 acres of land owned by James Snyder from R85 Residential District to B3 Highway Commercial District located at 102 Coppinville Road. We'll call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for December 7th, 2021. Again, no action on that tonight. I'll now introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 110221, providing for an amendment to Ordinance 101601, which establishes the Employee Classification Plan Salary Schedule. The amendment calls for the addition of Mechanic Trainee, pay grade 5, Accounting Clerk, pay grade 5, Athletics Coordinator, pay grade 8, and Senior Building Inspector, pay grade 10. I will now entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 110221.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All right, Council, as we discussed prior, these are budgeted positions. We're just codifying the actual positions. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will now call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute agreements with First Baptist Church of Enterprise related to 2 lots, one to be used for green space beautification improvements and the other for parking lot improvements for public parking downtown. The agreement includes a lease for the lot across the street from the church for parking lot improvements by the city. I'll now entertain a motion to authorize the execution of these agreements.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Beverly, let the record show I'll be abstaining because I'm a member of First Baptist Church. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll now call for a motion to approve the holiday schedule for the City of Enterprise as follows. Christmas, Thursday, December 23rd and Friday, December 24th, 2021, and New Year's, Friday, December 31st, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll now introduce a call for consideration of a request to close all city offices from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. on Wednesday, December 15th, 2021, to allow city employees to participate in the annual Christmas luncheon to be held at the Enterprise Civic Center. I'll now entertain a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll now open the floor for nominations for council president for the term that will continue until the first meeting of November 2022.
I nominate Turner Townsend.
Second.
All right, any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All those in favor of Turner Townsend, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will now have mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parks and Recreation Youth Basketball, all players on the team have started practicing. We There are 526 participants, whereas last year we had over 309 players. Youth flag football has completed their season. Tackle football will end their season on November 20th. Tennis program is growing, and of course, lessons for participants, clinics, and competition play. Pickleball play has continued to grow, but we now have 4 different groups coming out to play every day. Each group has 12 plus players that play each day. Special programs and events. Weight Watchers meet on Wednesday, 9 a.m. currently meeting at the Farmers Market. Senior acrobatics meet on Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Starting this month, they are now meeting at the Civic Center. Fishing at the Enterprise Recreational Complex senior citizens is the first and third Fridays of each month. And public fishing is the third Saturday of each month. This is for the big pond only. Pickleball play meet on Wednesday, Mondays, and Thursdays, 6:30 p.m. and on Saturday at 9 a.m. Ladies play meets on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. The courts are behind the Recreation Center. Zumba classes with 40 participants and will meet weekly at 6:15 p.m. Classes are now meeting at the Civic Center. Friday night dance with Apple, Eileen, Carpian Creek Band at the Farmers Market. Spooky in the city on October 29th was a huge success with over 335 teams that had over 1,400 participants. Projects. Park and Recreation offices are now at the Civic Center. Construction at the disc golf course, Johnny Hilson Family Park, is in progress and scheduled to open soon. Christmas decoration will start going up downtown around the city for the week of November 15th through the 19th. Engineering department permits approved single family detachment 3,041,555. Residential addition 13,600,994. New commercial 276,589. Commercial additions 323,200. Nuisance properties. Investigated properties 18. Verbal contact 3. Notification mail 15. Properties without progress 8. Properties mitigated 10. Fire department. Ongoing fire hydrant painting over 1,060 hydrants. Water department. There were 36 new construction water meter services installed in the month of October. Well, number 4A should be online by the end of the week. Well, number 6A is about 50% complete. Miscellaneous. Pumpkin Day at the Farmers Market was a huge success with approximately 1,200 people visiting throughout the day. Sales tax for October 2021, $2,313,119, which is 8.27% higher than October 2020. We issued a total of 58 business licenses in October, 56 new and 2 renewals. This is the mayor's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Rich.
Thank you everyone for coming tonight, and thank you, Mr. Wood, for your assistance over the past several months to help us pass our B ordinance. You could have got us a t-shirt we would have worn with you tonight, but thank everybody that addressed us with your concerns, and you all have a good night.
I think it's great to see that we have so many major projects coming to a head. We have soccer fields, a new rec department, parking lot paving, resurfacing streets, sidewalk repair. So I want to thank our employees for the city and all of our administration for working so diligently on these projects.
Councilman Paget.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. It's, to me, always great to see citizens getting involved in the government process, giving us feedback, and it helps us to know how the citizens are feeling about certain things and to know how to draft even ordinances based on your feedback, and we very much appreciate that. I think for me, I would say that we have no intention of dragging this process out on the short-term rentals, but at the same time, we don't want to speed through it so fast that we don't get it right. And so there's a balance there that I'm looking for, and I really feel like that we can do something here that's going to be very beneficial for all parties involved. And thank you all for coming tonight.
Yeah, I agree, Greg. That's awesome. We need to do it right and have our homework done. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate that. Also appreciate everybody that's online. We do have two folks that I know are online. Most of the time we're here this evening, but thank you for coming. And one of the last things I like to mention is, got a little thing here I want to talk about our veterans. We're going to honor our veterans at 3 traditional events. First one will be during the week of November 11th, Veterans Day observance, will be a wreath-laying ceremony at 5 p.m. on Monday, November the 8th, out the Wall of Freedom at the Enterprise Parks and Recs. Our Lieutenant Colonel Edwards Adams, who is the commander of the City of Enterprise Partnership Unit, 1st of the 212, will be our guest speaker. Then the second event is our Parade of Veterans, which will allow our community to come out and to wave the flag and cheer on our local veterans. And that's at 5:30 on Tuesday, November the 9th, on East College Street. And we need to pack that street all the way up to Main Street on both sides. The veterans will be out there starting around 5 o'clock to line up. We're trying to, hopefully we may have a World War II veteran, Korea, Vietnam, all the way up to conflicts, Gulf War, War on Terror. So if you know somebody out there that's a veteran that has problems getting out with a disability, we're going to have 7 to 8 golf carts out there to make sure every veteran gets to walk up and down that street or ride up and down that street. So we need to fill that street. The third event is right after that evening at 6:30 at the Civic Center will be our annual Enterprise Veterans Tribute Ceremony. And if you've never been to one, you need to go to this one. It's awesome. And we're fortunate to have Admiral retired Ken Davis, who's the Commissioner of the Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs down. He's the gentleman that came down a while back and gave us a briefing on our veterans home. And I'm hoping he'll make some comments that evening. So if you're interested in the veterans home, honoring our veterans, please come out to those events. All right. And I thank you. God bless everybody.
Thank you, Scotty. Thank you for that update. Yes, so thank everybody for coming. Ditto what everybody said. Staff, I know y'all are busy with these projects, so really, really appreciate all the hard work there. Looking forward to this process on the short-term rentals. I mean, as you can see, we had several public hearings tonight. Nobody came to address them, but there will be plenty of opportunity for public input. Really looking forward to that. Looking forward to reviewing some of the information that staff is getting to us. And Mr. Patton, thank you for addressing us about the Bowleville. I'll admit ignorance on most of what you were referring to. I'm not sure if my colleagues share that or not, but I will look further into that situation. And at the very least, I think we need a stance on it, and so we can give some direction on where we want to go there. So that being said, I'll be available after if anybody has any questions for me on any of these issues. But we will stand adjourned. Thank you.